Hey guys, how's it going? It's your boy Mr. Almighty Lewis back at you with another video, and in today's video we're going to be talking about emotional intelligence and really how to be intelligent in the emotional aspect. So how to understand your emotions and everything along those lines. So if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, make sure you subscribe. If you haven't hit the notification icon, make sure you hit the notification icon. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started. So how do you become emotionally intelligent? So pretty much, let's just talk about emotional intelligence there for a second. So in case you don't understand what is emotional intelligence, it's pretty much you understanding your emotions, you being intelligent enough to be able to understand every single emotion that you feel, and you're able to take action and do the proper thing that you need to do based on that emotion. So really understanding it and knowing exactly what an emotion is, you know. And for the most part, when people are emotionally intelligent to an advanced level, they do not repel their emotions. They actually invite every single emotion, you know, no matter what it is, whether it's happiness or whether it's anger. You know, these people invite both, and because they know exactly what they can do with both emotions, and they treat both emotions accordingly, because there's always data within those emotions. But if you're not emotionally intelligent, you don't understand what kind of data is in those emotions, and you sort of treat these emotions very impulsively, and then that leads to you taking some sort of action that's not really right, because you never understood your emotion for what it was in the first place. And so that's why I'm making this video. So I've touched on emotional intelligence previously on some of my previous videos, and I told you that I would eventually make a video just focusing on, you know, emotional intelligence itself, and this is the video. So if you've been waiting for this video for a while, I'm sorry, but you know, I had to make you wait this long. But believe me, I had to. You're gonna understand why. So first of all, what are emotions? So emotions are pretty much, they're a signal. They're a signal. Now, of course, like I said, and like I've said many times, this channel is primarily for men, introverted men, as a matter of fact. So I'm gonna approach emotions in that specific angle. Now, I do understand if you're a woman and you're watching this video, yes, women do experience a much wider range of emotions. So I won't be able to cover all of those because I am a man, and because of that, you know, I'm just not capable of feeling all the wide range of emotions that women do, and that's perfectly fine, because you know, I'm a man, and as a man, you know, we're capable of feeling a certain amount of emotions, and that's good, because that really makes up our character, and that really makes up who we are at the end of the day. And so, you know, let's get into it. So pretty much every emotion that you feel, it's a signal. It's let's just say it's like an alert, you know. Treat it as an alarm, like something that you trigger, you know, something that gets triggered, you know, every time that something happens, some sort of situation, you know, like your personality, who you are, you know, it's being alerted of something. So whether it's an emotion of happiness, let's just say you're feeling happy, that is a signal that whatever it is that you're doing, whatever it is that caused that happiness, you know, that's a signal that, okay, you know, that's a source of happiness. So, but the thing is that a lot of people sort of are very superficial with this type of stuff. So don't be superficial with it. So every time that you feel a certain emotion, don't always jump into the first thing that you think that caused the emotion, because a lot of people think that that's what it is, and that's not really what it is for the most part. So, but we're gonna be talking about digging deeper into your emotions a little bit later. But for now, just understand that every single emotion is just a signal. So let's just say you get angry. So when you start to feel angry, that's also a signal that something's not right. Something's out of line, and there's something that you wish was what it was, but instead it's the opposite. So then that's the signal that you're very controlled, that you want to control things that are really out of your control. And because you can't control them, you know, you get angry. And so that's what the signal is. But of course, you know, you won't know that until you actually go in there and actually analyze the emotion. So, like I've said, the first thing you need to understand is that every single emotion is a signal. It's a signal towards something much deeper. So never ever from this point on reject, neglect, or avoid any emotion, no matter what it is, no matter if it's super negative, no matter if it's like depression, stress, and all the emotions that you're feeling on that angle, as negative as they get, do not resist them. Even if they're like very violent emotions, like you feel like going out there and killing someone, do not repel those emotions, okay? Because they are a signal, and it's a signal that you're gonna have to dig deep into as we move forward here. But never ever reject a single emotion, no matter what anybody tells you. Because for the most part, if somebody tells you to avoid a specific type of emotion, it's because they themselves got hurt with that emotion. They did not understand that emotion, and now they avoid it because they know that that emotion can cause them to, go into chaos and stuff. But that's because they don't understand the emotion. And if you don't understand the emotion controls you. And when the emotion controls you, well, then it leads you to do things that you regret later. So just don't do it, okay? Do not repel a single emotion, okay? Invite them all, accept them all for what they are. And now that you have accepted emotions, you're willing to invite any sort of emotion, whether that's fear, whether that's stress, like I've said, anger, happiness, worry, sadness, all of these emotions, all of them, invite them. They're all beautiful, they're all precious, they're all a signal, they're all part of you, they're all part of being human. And that's another thing I want you to understand. You can't completely eliminate an emotion. Those emotions will always creep up on you. At most, what you can do is avoid circumstances that ignite that emotion, but that's about it. But then you're living a very constricted life. You're living a life of that's constricted, and a life really based around fear, meaning that you're always gonna let fear, dictate where you can go and where you can't. And that's not a very good life to live, especially if you're watching my channel, because we're all about personal growth. We're all about, improving yourself and really stepping out of your boundaries and going out and getting what you want. All right. And sometimes, getting what you want will mean that you're going to have to face certain emotions that you probably don't want to. And so you're going to need to know what the emotions mean. That way, the emotions don't control you and you control the emotions. You're able to take action that's proper in order to keep you in the journey, instead of you hopping out and giving up everything. So do not reject any emotion. Do not invite every single emotion. Now, the next thing I need you to understand is that an emotion is a signal, like I said, and it should not end there. Do not just take the emotion and start taking action already, because you're gonna take the wrong action for the most part. It's gonna be very impulsive, and you're just gonna go and you're just gonna make a big fool of yourself, or something wrong is gonna happen, and you're just gonna provoke something that you're gonna regret very painfully a little bit later. Now, why is it that we feel that we have to take action right away as soon as we feel the emotion? Now, normally people are very impulsive this way because they want to capitalize on that emotion. They want to release. They want that emotion to be lit up. Fire, right? But the thing is that if you don't understand the emotion to begin with, you don't understand the source of it, you don't understand why it's there, the reason, its purpose, because that's ultimately what the emotion is. It has a purpose. And it's your job to capitalize on that purpose. So your emotions are descending from your intuition. And then it's your job now to read this emotion, pick it up, and capitalize on it, and make sure that whatever needs to get done gets done. And so if you're very impulsive with it, you'll never get to the true core, the true purpose of that emotion. So let's just say you get angry, because let's just say somebody didn't show up, right? You had a meeting with someone at a specific time, and they just decided to just not show up, right? Now you're mad at this person. You're very angry. You feel the emotion of anger. You feel the emotion of betrayal, the emotion of being late, disrespect. You're starting to feel all these emotions, right? And if you capitalize on that, what do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen? you might go and you can release this emotion. Like I said, a lot of us like to, we want to capitalize on that emotion. We need to do something with it, because for the most part, suppressing it is not good. It's not good. I'm gonna get into that a little bit later, but you for the most part, naturally you want to capitalize on it. You want to do something with that emotion now. And what tends to happen is that for the most part, most people like to guide this emotion, what they're feeling, and release it onto somebody that pretty much has no fault in it. So who knows, maybe the meeting was at a restaurant, and now because that person didn't show up, you start to get angry at the server there, or the parking valet guy, or someone around in the fucking restaurant. And you start getting like super angry and stuff. You start blasting them. You start releasing all your like negative emotions, your anger, your frustration, everything that you feel for being disrespected is all being dispersed onto those people who have no fault at all. And that's because you're being very impulsive. You're letting your emotion control you. You're letting the emotion take over and be like, hey, you know what? Go and be angry with the world, right? And that's what now we don't want that, because guess what? The responsible one here is the person who did not show up. They are the cause of this emotion. All right, it's them. Well, not necessarily, but that situation triggered the emotion in you. That's what caused it to happen in the first place. Now, of course, we can even backtrack a little bit and say, hey, you know what? It's my fault. We can say it's not their fault, but we can say it's our fault. It's our fault for trusting this person so much to show up. And at the end, they didn't deliver. They did not show up, right? And we were so blind. We blindly believed in them to the point where, we thought that they would show up with, and we had like zero doubt in our minds. And at the end, they did not show up, right? But, that's for you. That's for you to feel a little bit better. When you take responsibility, you're able to cool down. And that's really when you start to take control of the emotion. Now, sure, in that sense, you can take responsibility for that. But the other person should not be, left, you know, untouched. They have to be told something, because if not, they're going to repeat the same thing over and over again. So now that you've thought it through and you said, okay, you know what? This is my fault. I trusted this person that they would show up, and at the end, they did not show up. All right. Now, obviously, you don't have to you don't have to make it a rule like, okay, I'm not going to trust anyone now. Anybody that tells me they're going to show up at 1 o'clock, or 2 o'clock, or anybody that tells me anything that they're going to show up at a specific time, it doesn't mean that, okay, you know what, our trust is broken. I'm not going to trust nobody. It just means that, you just gotta be more careful, when you trust somebody that they're going to show up, right? And so here's the thing, like, you still have to deal with the problem. So the problem is that that person did not show up. So you have to go and approach that person. But now when you approach the person, you're a little bit more understanding that in part you trusted them, right? So you can go ahead and explain to them, when you see this individual, whenever it is that you see them, you tell them, hey, you know what, like, that's not it's not very respectful, that's not very professional for you to not show up, after we had both agreed to show up at a specific time and you didn't, so let this person know what they did, and let them know that anything similar to that in the future is unacceptable. So give them a chance, give them an opportunity to change their actions, to do something different. And if they do it again, well, then you can just drop them off. You can just be like, hey, you know what? You did it the second time. I told you the first time. I warned you. You know what? We're not going to have any more meetings like these and whatever. If it's business related, the business is pretty much done. And if it's business, it probably was done from the beginning, because that's clearly something that's not very acceptable in the business world, to just not show up without any notice, without anything, right? Can't just do something like that in business. But if it's like a hangout or something, or something like that, maybe it's a date, and didn't show up, you can always give them a second chance, but after the second chance, I would suggest that if they do the same thing, you pretty much call it and it's over, because at this point, this person has clearly no respect for you. So you have to cut them off. But anyway, going back to the point, always dig deep. Dig deep, like we just did with this example here. Somebody doesn't show up, don't start releasing your anger and everything onto other people that have no fault in this situation. Okay? So, have control of your emotions. First of all, invite every single emotion, don't repel it. And second of all, be with that emotion, be with it, feel it, experience it, and then see, why it's there. And always try to take responsibility for every emotion, because at the end of the day, it is your fault. It's your responsibility. It's your responsibility to control your emotions. So whatever you feel, it's your responsibility. It's your intuition provoking these emotions. It's nobody else. Okay, everybody else is just doing whatever it is that they're doing. Okay, you have no control of what anybody else does. You have control of how you respond, of course. And like I said, so you have to take responsibility for your emotions, because let's be honest, nobody out there takes action with the intent to ignite some sort of emotion inside you. For the most part, they don't. But there is a certain amount of people who do it with that intention. They like purposefully want to get you angry and stuff like that. But for the most part, people just do things for their own benefit, and that ultimately causes you to feel very angry, because people are looking out after themselves and they're not looking after you. And that's how people are, for the most part. This is not everybody, of course, but you have to understand that your emotions are yours, and it's your responsibility to manage them. It's not their responsibility to manage your emotions. It's nobody else's. It is ultimately your choice. It is your responsibility, really, to deal with those emotions. And that's really what emotional intelligence really is. It's your ability to accept any emotion that comes your way, and then be able to capitalize on that emotion and be able to take the proper action that's actually gonna create some change. Because like I said, it's a signal. It's something that, hey, you know what, you got to do something about this whenever a emotion comes up. And this is, of course, you mostly need the emotional intelligence for the negative emotions, because those are the ones that really try to take control over you. But also, the happiness ones, the happy emotions. Whenever you're feeling happy, you're feeling joy, you're feeling excitement. Of course, those you have to analyze them as well, because some of those can actually lead to things like addictions and stuff like that. And you have to be very careful, whenever you feel those emotions. So, ask yourself why you're feeling the emotion that you're feeling. So, maybe you go to like an amusement park and you feel all this excitement and everything, or maybe you go to a date and you feel so happy, that you're with this individual and it's all going cool and excellent and amazing and stuff like that, and you think that this person is really the one for you. You have to dig deep, because those emotions, while they may be telling you like, hey, you know what, I'm excited, you have to ask yourself, why are you excited? Is it really the person? Because sometimes it's not the person. Sometimes it's just you. You're excited because you're finally being yourself. Let's just say maybe this person is providing a space for you to be yourself and to express yourself. And maybe this is something that you haven't done before. But now that you have somebody there by your side who encourages you to be who you are and who loves it, you may feel a little bit more excited. And the thing is that you may be thinking that it's actually the person who's doing that, but that's very impulsive. Like I said, it's impulsive. You're not digging deep. Once you dig deep, you'll figure out that, hey, you know what? It's actually just me. The fact that I'm able to be free and speak my mind and just be who I really am. That in of itself is causing the excitement. That in of itself is causing these feelings, these emotions of liberation, of authentication. And so once you understand those emotions, you can take proper action, meaning that you can separate being yourself from this individual. And then you got to see if this individual is actually worth keeping around, because sometimes, because like I said, you're very impulsive. You think this is the person, so then you go all in with this person just because of that emotion. And that's not good, because now you're becoming emotionally dependent on somebody else instead of you becoming emotionally dependent on yourself, because you have that emotional intelligence. So, this emotional intelligence can get very, very technical. So I hope that in this video I was able to cover the basics, really, because this was really the basics. If you give me a proper example, of course, you leave it down in the comment section below. I can go ahead and break it down and break down some sort of a situation that you may have, and I'll teach you how emotional intelligence really applies into it. But I gave you a couple of examples here in this video that I think might be very helpful for you. So, just take the theory. Like I said, it's not that hard, but it does take a lot of work. Well, a lot of practice, actually. It's not like it's a lot of work. It's not that many steps you have to apply, but you have to practice this consistently. So every time, throughout the day, you're gonna feel a lot of emotions, believe me. So just become very aware of those emotions. Like I said, accept them all, and then when you feel them, recognize them. And sometimes, your predictions, or your guesses as to what the emotion could mean, once you dig deeper, may not always be right. At the beginning, it probably won't be right. It'll probably be wrong. You'll probably misjudge your emotion, and you'll go and take action, and you'll still not get what you want. And that's fine, because this is going to take some practice. But eventually, as you do it more and more, you'll get more in tune with your emotions, to the point where your emotions and you can work collaboratively, and you no longer have to have that fight between you and your emotions, but you guys are working together, and your intuition is doing what it's supposed to, which is it's signaling you every time you need to do something about something. Maybe you're a little distracted, and then the emotion comes in and alerts you, like, hey, you know what, pay attention here. This is something that you have to acknowledge. There's something you have to dig deep into, because there is an opportunity for change in here. There's an opportunity to do something, to take action. And so that's really that. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I know this video went a little bit long, but it had to, and I hope you were able to stick till the end. So make sure you subscribe, make sure you hit the notification icon, make sure you hit that like button, and there will be some videos right here, so you guys can watch more of my videos. Anyway, I hope to see you in the next video.